Morning guys, welcome back to the channel. So today is the day we're going to be doing a full PPF on the car. We're going to go through the stages, and actually it's going to take me about an hour and 40 minutes to get there. Alright, so I did wanted to mention the reason why it's going to take me about an hour 40 minutes is because if I'm going to drive the highway, it's going to take me obviously a lot shorter of a time, but I'm going to have more risk of getting rock chips and any road debris to get onto the front clip of the car. If I'm staying local speeds, 30-40 miles an hour, and keeping my distance away, I'll have a less possibility of getting rock chips. Of course, I could have done the temporary paint protection film, but I'm just short on time and I didn't really have much left from last time we did it. We're gonna take our risk and hopefully it works out. I've been driving the car for the past 2 weeks on local roads with no issues, so the moment of truth when we get there. Alright, so after an hour and 45 minutes, I finally made it over to Hughes Detailing. No rock chips, I just checked. The car is still perfect condition. It's a little bit dirty, but that's when I'm here, they're gonna take care of that over here. So I did stop by a Dunkin' Donuts and picked up 2 boxes of donuts and a box of Joe. Because who doesn't like coffee and donuts? So I'm gonna give it to the guys here to show my appreciation for fitting me into their tight schedule, because they're always busy here. So.
Hey guys, my name is Brandon Hugh. I'm the owner of Hughes Detailing based here in Miami, Florida. We are your premier one-stop solution shop for everything regarding new car preparation, paint corrections, ceramic coatings, paint protection film, window tint, you name it, pretty much anything that revolves around protecting your car, we try to offer it here, as a one-stop solution. So a little bit about what we do, kind of how we got started. This was what originally started as like me with my first car. You wanted to always have your car clean for every single kind of car show, or just your daily driver. You always wanted to look on point. So my first car that I had a BMW M3, jet black at the time. And when you have a black car, no matter what you try to do to it in direct sunlight, it never looks perfect. So back then I had a car that was severely swirled, but I washed this car probably 2-3 times a week, trying to always make it look clean, but was never completely satisfied with how it looked, and I was like, okay, what can I do to make it look better? So at the time, that's when I kind of learned about polishing, some of the different waxes you can put on the car, little things you can do to kind of make the car glossier than what it was, enhance the paint, and keep it protected for a period of time. So what essentially started off at the time as a hobby of just washing my car and keeping it clean, and then eventually starting to clean other people's cars, quickly evolved into what we have here now. So about 9 years in the business, what started out of the back of my trunk, quickly evolved into a full-blown detailing and protection shop that we have here now. So today here in the shop, we have Ken's brand new G80 M3 in Imola Red. What this car is in here for is our paint protection film installation. So the idea behind this car is pretty much brand new, has a few miles from being driven here to the shop, but the car still has no rock chips, no scratches, and we want to keep it looking that way for years to come. That way Ken can drive it and make sure this car looks basically brand new, for years to come. So what we're going to be doing with this car is starting with the prep process of basically cleaning this whole car, cleaning the wheels, basically getting the paint prepped and ready for the paint protection film. So the idea is to clean the whole car, polish out any factory imperfections that are there, clean up any residual adhesive from some of the shipping wrappers that came on the car. Basically get the car as perfect and clean as possible. So when the film goes on there, it's the last form of protection that's going to go on there. It's going to be like a sealer, so it's going to preserve and protect everything underneath there. So the better the paint looks, the better the film installation will be. So on this car, we will be doing a little bit dismantling just to kind of wrap a lot of the edges, but the entire car is going to be covered in paint protection film. And once the film is done, we will be applying what we call our ceramic coatings, which we can go into a little bit further, explaining about that. So all of the exterior of the car is going to be ceramic coated, so all the film, all the exterior windows, as well as the wheels. And basically what the coating is going to do is make the car super shiny, glossy, and easy to maintain for years to come. So that's the overall scope of the project, and we'll go into a little bit more in detail as far as what we're doing with each individual service. So many of you are probably wondering, why is it important to have paint protection film, PPF, clear bra? There's a bunch of different forms or names for it. So the idea behind it is the paint protection film is the only form of protection you can apply to a car that will offer physical, protection against abrasions, chips, things of that nature. So on the paint, if it's absolutely brand new, this is the ideal time to do it. Most of the cars that we get here in the shop come straight from the factory showroom floor, straight from the dealer, or in this case, depending on our lead times, the customer will hold on to it and then bring it to us, as early as we can. So the paint protection film is designed to take the blunt force of damage, so rock chips, with occasional shopping cart, things like that. Hopefully it never happens, but that's the idea behind it. The film is a sacrificial layer of protection that, in case anything ever happens, it's better to have it and not need it than the other way around. So the film is designed to take impact, where if the film wasn't there in that case, any sort of damage to the car will be direct to paint contact. In that case, mostly either denting the panel, chipping the paint, and ultimately leading to time at the body shop, refinishing, painting of an original car, and then also having the worries of color matching. A lot of our customers don't want to worry about that, just because they want their car to look brand new as much as possible, and OEM paint will always be the best. Whenever anything is refinished, it'll never be 100% the same, but nothing as good as original. So the idea is to have it protected from early on, drive it however you want to, so you have complete peace of mind, and that way you're not having to worry about day-to-day driving with this. So the film that we're going to be using today is called XPEL Ultimate Plus, which is XPEL's premier paint protection film. There's a lot of different options on the market, and a few different brands out there, but the ones that we find to work really well for our specific climate, as well as me as an installer, what I find works best is the XPEL Ultimate. Comes in two different forms. There's the gloss film as well as the matte paint protection film. So the gloss film is designed for gloss painted cars, window trim, things like that. And then the matte film, which is called Stealth, is designed for matte painted portions of the car. So that's designed for instance, like you have a brand new Mercedes or BMW, like a frozen gray paint. Instead of putting the clear film on there, which will turn into a glossy finish, the Stealth film is designed to keep the original finish of the car and protect it, so that way you're not altering, the expensive color that you ordered. So there's a lot of different options and installers out there that do paint protection film. So there's a variety of different levels of installation that can be done. The most traditional standard way of, kits or film being applied is with what we call pre-cut kits. So most of your dealers will install this option, or as well as a lot of other shops. There's pros and cons to having a pre-cut kit versus something a little bit more custom, which is what we offer here in our shop, and a lot of that will depend on kind of how seamless you want the appearance. There's nothing wrong with pre-cut kits. I think they definitely offer a benefit or a certain level of protection, but sometimes cannot be as aesthetically appealing as doing custom. But having some sort of film on there is the idea behind it, to protect the car against any sort of damage. So the pre-cut kits that we have for this car, for instance, in our DAP software and database, are designed to offer minimal dismantling of the car with effective seam placement. So we can effectively wrap the whole car, have it look great, but then not have too much tension. That way film peels back or anything like that. So pre-cut kits definitely have their advantage to them, but some of the downsides is that in certain areas of the panel, not every edge gets 100% wrapped. So what happens is, on some of the lighter colored cars, you can actually see some of the dirt edges being built up on some of the areas. So that's just one of the downsides to having a pre-cut kit, although there are certain areas where we're not able to 100% wrap. So there are going to be some parts where the edge will come as close as possible. The idea behind doing some of the more custom wraps are what we call bulk installing, which is what we do a lot of here in the shop. Although we use a good mixture of modified pre-cuts, we do a lot of bulk install too. So some of the advantages to doing that, like on hoods, roofs, and panels like that, is it gives us a little bit more material, so we have less chances of distortion or what we call lift marks, lines, things like that, and allows us to have a much cleaner install. But for me as an installer, certain panels, it's preference, and allows us overall to have a much cleaner result, which at the end of the day is what's most important to the customer and us. So we want the car to look as good as possible, so we find our medium between what works best and most efficient for us to have the car fully protected.
So one of the things that when I got into the shop, Brandon was actually able to explain to me exactly how much details they do when prepping a car, getting the car ready to make sure that all the PPF that's applied is seamless. So I'm gonna let Brandon take it over. This is really good information that sets them aside from other shops in the local area.
So one of the reasons why we pull off some of the trim is you can see kind of just how much dirt, pollen, and grime that builds up on the edges that otherwise the trim would have hid. So the idea is, so one, we can be able to wrap in between here, but it's necessary as part of the prep to make sure everything's clean. So you can see all the dirt and grime along all the clips and the rails, but then also here between the roof and the windshield, inside this gutter here, where they have the windshield gasket, you can see all that pollen and dirt that's in there. Without cleaning that properly, a lot of that can flood out into our film, and we just want to make sure that none of that's there, so it's super clean.
All right, so this portion of the video is you have Brandon basically disassembling a lot of the pieces that you need, again, to make this a smooth and seamless process. Pretty much is tearing up my car. It's something that you don't want to see as a BMW owner, but again, this is necessary to make sure that when you apply the film, you don't see it at all, which is something that I talked about at car shows with my F80 when I got my car paint protected, and you can see that these steps weren't taken. There was fold marks, you could kind of see dirt because it wasn't covered fully, and those are the things that drove me crazy because I'm very detail oriented. So if you guys are very detail oriented, this is something that you either find your local shop that does it, or if you guys live in the area of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, it's worth the drive to come out here and speak to them because they'll educate you the process, and I'm already learning a lot today.
So the other part of the process we're going to be doing to Ken's M3 is once all the paint protection film has been applied to the car, we're going to be installing what we call our Modesta glass coatings. Modesta's a brand of glass coatings that are directly from Japan, bottled in small quantities, and has been our preferred choice of coatings that we've been using for about the last 8 years. It's a coating that works very well for us. One, because we've tried it for extended period of time, works really well in our climate, which South Florida here can be pretty harsh. So some coatings won't last as long here in South Florida as it does in other climates just because of the extreme UV and heat, where Modesta is one of those products that really excels down here. So it's just kind of been a great fit for us. So Modesta makes coatings for exterior paint, for wheels, which they have a high temperature base coating which can be applied to wheels and calipers, LPS, which is a leather interior protective coating, EPC, which is for exterior plastic trim. We also have coatings for the exterior glass. So pretty much any surface of the car, we have something to protect it from. I think there's a good balance between what can be protected and not protected, but we can always speak about those things a little bit further. So on this specific car, we are going to be, once the film is applied, we're going to be applying Modesta BCO5, which is their flagship ceramic coating option, on top of all the exterior paint, where BCO5 is a very, very hydrophobic coating. So it's going to have great water beading, so the water is going to bead right off of the surface, make the car super easy to clean. Instead of having to scrub it a lot of the dirt, bugs, things like that on the surface, everything's going to come off super clean and easy. And then on top of that, give the car this candy gloss shine. So even though the paint protection film is going to drastically enhance the paint of the car, the coating is just going to be that little extra cherry on top to really magnify this Imola Red paint.